Here's some photographs and maps to give you some context and background for the case we're going to be looking at this next 2 weeks in Alaska. It takes place in the Wrangell Mountains at McCarthy and Kennecott and McCarthy Creek Valley, which are right near the center of the red square on this map. The map is of Alaska and the adjacent Canada. The distance from right to left in the red square is about 600 miles. The national park is about half the size of the state of Tennessee. The red box in the middle shows the area including McCarthy and Kennecott, right square in the middle. If you were looking at the area from outer space, it would look sort of like this drawing. And again, if you look carefully, you'll see McCarthy just to the left middle, surrounded by ginormous peaks, ice, snow, but the valley itself is forested and lowland. If you were in an airplane looking out over McCarthy and its valley, it would look something like this. There's a state gravel highway coming in from the lower left. It crosses the Kennecott River and goes to the town site of McCarthy. 4 miles up, continuing on up, and so along the edge of the Kennecott Glacier, you see the Kennecott Milltown, an historic site. And McCarthy Creek comes in from the lower right. That's the place that Papa Pilgrim built his 13-mile road connecting McCarthy with their homestead away at McCarthy Creek. On the map, it looks more like this. The map on the left, it's all federal land except private land in purple and some state land in yellow. The road that goes up McCarthy Creek that Papa Pilgrim opened up is in yellow, extending from McCarthy around the mountains up the valley to the Hale homestead, the Pilgrim homestead. The photograph shows the McCarthy Creek Valley with the route of the road and the location of the Pilgrim homestead when they lived up there. Now we'll show you a few photos that give you a sense of the scale and character of the terrain and the place. This photo was taken from the hillside above Kennecott, so it's looking right from above Kennecott up the valley. Much of the park is snow, ice, and steep rock, which makes the areas that are habitable and forested even more important from a human perspective and ecological perspective. The town of McCarthy is shown here. You can see how big it is. It's not quite as big as Nashville. This is all of downtown. There's some outlying suburbia that includes cabins and residences, but this is the main part of McCarthy. Downtown McCarthy includes buildings like this one. This is the Educational Institute where I teach and where Roger and I and our colleagues lived when we were doing field studies that were precursor to the designation of the national park. Downtown McCarthy in midsummer is shown here. It's actually, this is a little later than midsummer. It's early fall. That would make it late August. It's a busy place, but not too bustling as you see. The seasons are important in McCarthy and in the Wrangells, this part of Alaska. In midwinter, the sun angle is low. This photograph was taken probably late December, early January. And the temperature outside when it was taken was 40 degrees below zero. Snow starts falling around now, this season of the year, and reaches its maximum depth usually in March. This photograph was taken in Kennecott and shows snow depth in late winter. In the summer, the snow melts, but the ice of the glaciers is still very thick. It's thinning year to year, but it's going to take centuries for it all to melt. Tourists come, summer home owners come, and students come for our field programs, sometimes hiking way up the glaciers. This field camp is actually in an alpine meadow directly above Kennecott. So this shows what the terrain right around Kennecott is like. This is about, 3-4 hours walking distance from downtown Kennecott. McCarthy Creek Valley looks like this, and this photograph was taken pretty much on the route of the road that Papa Pilgrim opened prior to his opening it. If you hang out around this part of Alaska very long, pretty soon you're going to see animals, including black bears. This black bear, took the picture of this black bear from my kitchen window. The 3 wires are the electric fence that we have up to keep bears like this out of the yard, and the fence works. Mountain goats. When the skies are clear and the skies are dark, we sometimes get beautiful northern lights, aurora. This photograph, which includes a picture of my daughter and son-in-law's house, was taken in downtown McCarthy this past August. But by early September, the summer is dwindling and there's a brief burst of fall color. This photograph was taken right next to one of the rights-of-way in Kennecott that's controversial regarding motor vehicle use. We'll be getting into that next week. And pretty soon, winter returns. This week we're going to be focusing on what we'll call the Pilgrim controversy. You have read about it or will. The Pilgrim family is all assembled here. They're near their homestead up McCarthy Creek. They look nice and pleasant here, but you can imagine what it would be like encountering the young men with belligerent faces, heavily armed with rifles and pistols. So in this scene, though, very pleasant. Here again is the map, give you orientation. You can see where the Pilgrim property is in the upper right, McCarthy lower left, and Kennecott just north of McCarthy. And again, pay particular attention to the yellow, which are the non-federal holdings, the private lands. All the rest is national park land. Here's the impression that the Pilgrim family gave to the outside world. You can see them all assembled here. Very colorful sight. Created a lot of charisma. Very pleasant for the press. And whenever they were around town, you'd meet them and they would break into song or play their musical instruments. They were very skilled at that. Their place up McCarthy Creek included a big garden that they built and some rehabilitated old buildings off the mining claims they'd purchased, including this house, which housed the whole family, like 16 of them. In the wintertime, you can get up here by snow machine, so it's pretty easy to freight pretty big loads over the snow. In the summertime, it's either bulldozing a road or flying things in by light airplane. This is the airstrip at the Motherlode property that the Pilgrims used to own. Let's look at some of the other characters in our drama. Rick and Bonnie Kenyon. You'll read some of Rick's work. Rick was the editor of the newspaper and the preacher at the local church and the leading local organizer for the land rights organizations, that pro-access coalition. And Rick and Bonnie operated a bed and breakfast out of their beautiful log home here not far from the Kennecott River. The park superintendent, an important figure in all this, was Gary Candelaria. Here's how he was portrayed on the website of the Pro-Access Coalition. Here's how that same coalition on their website portrayed the National Park Service Rangers. These are actually 2 very sweet guys who were not at all happy to have to be carrying those weapons. The Park Service was very concerned about the safety of its crew when they brought them up to survey the bulldozed road and assess its impact. But again, you can see how they were portrayed by the land rights folks. Once again, the Pilgrims rode, as this time seen from a satellite photograph, with McCarthy at the lower left, the big mountain ridge in the middle, and the narrow McCarthy Creek Valley on the right. When this is how the valley looked before the road was bulldozed. So, to summarize some of the issues we're going to be looking at, the main question is whether places like this will be open for quiet pedestrian hiking, or whether they will be open for motor vehicles which enhance access. When you do have a motor vehicle access, you start getting collections of motor vehicles that look like this, that bring people in, make quite a bit of noise, and make the access quicker and generally easier. So from the point of view of those who want a quiet, natural experience, they'd like places like this to be motor vehicle free, pedestrian only, and want regulation and limits on motor vehicles. You have another coalition of interests that would see as a matter of necessity and right that they should be able to drive to places like this, and other people should be able to drive, and the public should be able to drive. This location that you're seeing in this picture above Kennecott is highly contested that way. Once you get a precedent established that access by motor vehicles is allowed and constructing of roads by private property owners is allowed across public land, it will change the area significantly over a long period of time. We have two different coalitions with very different perspectives engaged in that controversy. That's some background and some photos, and look forward to seeing you in class on Wednesday.